Well, welcome back. We are sort of in the kitchen today, but this is a video I've been talking about for a while. I want to talk today about my 5 top tips for coffee shops in Chattanooga to help you decide where you might want to get coffee should you ever decide to visit our city. Welcome back to Future Me. I've already finished my first cup of coffee. I'm going to show you how I made it here at the end of the video. So here are the 5 top coffee shops for me in Chattanooga. Now, here's the criteria that I went by in making my decision, because obviously I go to Panera every morning and get coffee because I spend $12.99 a month on their unlimited pour coffee. I can get coffee all month, however much I want, any time of the day, as long as they're open, for $12.99. I don't count them, okay? I don't count Starbucks. I don't count drive-through coffee places. What I'm looking for is a coffee shop that actually has an espresso machine that they use to make their cappuccinos. Starbucks does not have that. I'm also looking for a place with some kind of ambiance or vibe that makes it just kind of fun to be there. And if they serve food, that's a plus, but it's not necessary. Most of the places, in fact, all of the places that I have chosen are actually coffee roasters, so you can buy their own coffee at the coffee shop. I'm going to start with the one that I went to first before there was 500 coffee shops in Chattanooga, and that's Rembrandt's Coffee in the Bluffview Art District. Rembrandt's Coffee sits up over the Tennessee River next to the Hunter Art Museum and next to the art garden that's up there. They have wonderful coffee. They make probably the closest thing to a European cappuccino of any of the coffee shops because it's in a little smaller mug, coffee cup than the others. They do sell breads and cookies and sweets, and most of these, if not all of these, are made locally there within the Bluffview Art District. It has a little space inside to enjoy your coffee, but when the weather is nicer, I go outside. There is a nice little garden out there. It's just a much better vibe for me outdoors to just sit, enjoy the surrounding sounds, and have a cup of coffee. Second on my list, and these are in really no order of preference, but second on my list is the Mean Mug Coffee Shop on the North Shore. The Mean Mug Coffee Shop, as I mentioned before, they have a discount on my Ibotta app, on my Upside app rather. So if I go in and buy a bag of coffee there, or even just a drip coffee, I'm going to get 6% back on that purchase. And because I've added it to Rakuten, I get an additional discount on the Rakuten app without having to do anything else. It just automatically shows up. I shouldn't say discount. I should say money back. This is typically where I buy my coffee, not this particular location, but Mean Mug is where I typically buy my coffee. It's the coffee that I've used to make this cup of coffee. Now, on the North Shore, they're inside an old warehouse. I used to go there because there was an antique mall there, and it was just really a lot of fun to walk through. But eventually they lost their lease, and the owners of the building converted it. There's a restaurant next door, barbecue restaurant next door, and some other things in the building. It's also next to the most expensive grocery store in all of Chattanooga, as far as I know, and that is a really, really nice Whole Foods store. It's a big, huge store. I don't shop there, but and Whole Foods has its own coffee shop, but I don't count it because I don't go there. So that Mean Mug on the North Shore is a favorite of mine. And then there is Velo Coffee Roasters. Velo Coffee Roasters are on Main Street, and they're on the east end of Main Street. And they are past all of the little cafes and things there. There's a lot of really nice places to eat on the east side of Main Street. The Choo Choo is on the east side of Main Street. But when you get to Velo Coffee Roasters, there's really nothing there. I mean, you've moved past the busyness to a place that there is a barbershop upstairs, I think. But inside, it's really just a warehouse of sorts inside where they roast their coffee, they store their coffee, and it's kind of a zigzag little place to sit. But they also have a place outside that's really nice to sit at on some days. And, you know, the place is filled with old bicycles and all kinds of other things they've decorated with. It's just a fun place to go. And the cappuccino there is really good. Also on my list is Goodman's Coffee. Now, if you watch the Corgi Parade video or the Incline Parade video, or Riding the Incline video, I've talked about the Goodman's Coffee Shop in St. Elmo, which I think was their original location. But I like to go to the Goodman's that's in Warehouse Row. Now, Warehouse Row started years ago. It was supposed to be kind of a high-end discount mall of sorts. I don't know how much discount there is, but it is high-end. There's a couple of places to eat there. There's a Tupelo Honey's there. Another place called The Social or something. But you go inside, there are two buildings. There's a north building and a south building. You go inside the north building, and just to your left is Goodman's. And it's such a nice vibe inside. It's dark, it's closed. It's closed in, but there's a spot you can sit to look out over Main Street. And then if you want, you can walk out into the hallway. There's a nice big table with relaxing chairs and things sitting just outside the coffee shop. It's just a nice place to go and sit quietly. It's not overly loud. And in all of these places that I've chosen for this video, I particularly went when they were not busy. So don't let the emptiness inside fool you. They do get quite busy. And then last on my list is another Mean Mug coffee shop on Main Street, and it's the one that I'd probably go to more than any other. And it was the original Mean Mug coffee shop. Now, where I get my coffee is at a shop over by Hamilton Place Mall. I don't particularly like that location, but it's close to my house, and so, you know, it saves me a lot of driving. But downtown on Main Street, that location, I don't know, there's something about that. It's kind of long and narrow. It's in an old building. It's got mismatched furniture. Mean Mug does serve food. They now have a keto menu if you're, trying to watch the carbs. But if you're not watching carbs, they have a cinnamon roll that is about this big around, that if you just heat it up for me, it will be the most delightful thing ever. And of course, I can't have those anymore unless I'm cheating. And if it's too busy inside, there is, again, another little spot just outside to go sit around some picnic tables and things. And you'll see on my photography channel, I start my videos there sometimes because I go get coffee before I walk around downtown and take pictures. And so those are the 5 coffee shops that I personally can recommend. There are a lot of others, and I won't talk about them in this video. Maybe we'll do a part 2 at some point. Now let's go back to the kitchen and let's see how I made this cup of coffee. Now that we've been through all of the top 5 for me, and there are a lot of other wonderful coffee shops in Chattanooga, and I visit some of them. These are the 5 I just wind up going back to over and over again. I've had several requests in the comments to ask me how I make my coffee, so I'm just going to walk you through that sort of in real time. It takes a little while, so bear with me. The first thing that I have is a fellow coffee brewer, the pot. And it has a wonderful neck here to really get the water coming out the way you want it. It's overkill in a lot of ways. I used to have one that I heated up on the stove, same company, same look, but I heated it on the stove. I went with this one because I can control the temperature, and it has an app that if I fill it up before I go to bed at night, I can turn my coffee on, the water on, from an app on my phone before I get out of bed. It's like I said, it's overkill. Most coffee videos that you'll watch will tell you that 192 degrees is a really good temperature for coffee. To me, that's almost like drinking coffee cold. So I set my temperature to 210, just below boiling, and I'm just going to turn that on. I do have a small Hario scale that I have set to grams. This was set to grams because everything I do is based on how many grams I'm using. I do have a Chemex, and if you'll look, I'll see if I can zoom in here. Let me just do this. Let me just come in here. You see how dirty that is? We're not going to clean it today, but it's time to be cleaned because coffee does stain everything it comes in contact with. So I have the Chemex brewer, and this is something that I asked for Christmas one year, and one of my daughters was kind enough to get it for me. And then I also use non-bleached square filters. Now you can get these bleached. World Market sells them cheaper. The bleached ones are the bleached ones are cheaper. They're actually sort of a tan color, but I don't know. I just kind of like the white aesthetic. It is. If I can get this open, it is a square like this. You can also get these. They're round, but they fold up exactly the same. The Keurig is designed with this little chamber here that, you use to pour it out of, but there's a reason why it's sort of indented, and that is to let the air flow while you're brewing the coffee. And so when you're using a filter, you have 3-ply on one side and 1-ply on the other. And the 3-ply you put on this side with the groove. And the reason you do that is because if you put the 1-ply over there, it's likely to collapse into that and stop the airflow. So you put 3 on there to keep it nice and firm and steady. My water is boiling now. You see how fast that was to get ready to go? And so I'm going to pour a little hot water into the filter just to sort of clean it out, take out that bleached flavor. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to grind the coffee. Now, I'm using it's called a Breville. I'm using a Breville coffee grinder. Another friend of mine sent that to me one year. Beautiful, beautiful gift. I have used it nonstop ever since. Now that I have the water through here, you'll see there's a little water in the bottom. I just need to pour that out. And the filter is ready to take the coffee. I just have my coffee brewer set up, the coffee grinder rather, to grind for 10.2 seconds. It gives me the same weight every time. Now that I've got this here, I'm just going to put the coffee in. And brewing comes in 3 stages. The first stage is to what they call bloom the coffee. Coffee has gases trapped inside of it, and we want to get those gases released. That helps enhance the flavor. So I'm going to set this back to 0, and I am just going to slowly circle the water. And you'll notice as I'm pouring, the water is sort of separating. That allows it to get the maximum amount of impact. That's 100 grams. So I'm going to stop there. Typically, you want to let this sit about 45 seconds to let it bloom. I'm going to make another cup of coffee here where I can get close-ups. So any close-ups you see here is me enjoying another cup of coffee. But you'll see that the gas bubbles are coming up, and they're forming on top as the water keeps going down through the coffee until the coffee is gone. And if you look down here at the bottom, you'll see that it's still dripping pretty good. So I'm still getting some water coming through. All right, so the water is just about gone through there. And now comes the second stage, which is where I want to go from 100 grams to 250 grams. And I want to, again, go in a circular motion. You'll see the water is kind of separating before it hits. And I usually take that pretty slow. I don't try to pour it all at one time. If I'm in a hurry, I might. But I'm not in a hurry today. I should be, because this is video and, it's just going to be longer. But this is kind of real. And so I'm just going to add a little more water. I'm at about 200 grams now, so I've got another 50 to go. Just going to let that kind of soak in just a little bit. Typically, I would put the kettle back on to make sure the water stays hot, but I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to go ahead, for the sake of this video, and add the rest of the water here to about 250. Now, it's kind of a game that I play when I make coffee, is how close can I get it to the amount I want. And that's 250 on the nose. I did good. Sometimes it's 249, sometimes it's 253. I don't sweat the small stuff. So again, I'm going to let that kind of soak through. You'll see that the water is coming out at the bottom down here. And so I will cut the video here and come back when it's finished. The whole brewing process takes about 5 minutes. I could make 1 cup. I could make 3 cups in this brewer. I only make them 1 at a time. I could probably save myself some hassle if I made 2 at a time, but I don't. So I'm going to cut the video. I'll come back when it's time to add the rest of the water. Okay, so most of the water has come through the coffee now. And if you'll look here, it's really leaving me a thick, heavy sludge. And I want to do something with that. So on the third pour, it's another 100 grams of water. And I'm just going to wash away the stuff that's on the sides. And then I'm going to do just a direct pour right in the middle of the water. I'm not going to circle it around until I get to 350. That's 347. That's 350. I'm doing good on this video. And then I bought a special spoon from World Market. It's really nothing special, except that I like the fact that it's a flat, wide spoon. And I'm just going to stir that sludge 2 or 3 times so that the water can really surround the coffee grounds and work through there. Because as hard as that sludge was, if I were to just continue the circle, the water is not going to stir it up the way it did the first time. I need to do that on my own. And then it's just a waiting game. You wait until water is out. So we'll be back in just a second. All right, we're about there. Now, I used to have a mug for everything. I had 10 or 12 mugs. Some of them were kind of funny. Some of them were, keepsakes from places I visited. And when I decluttered the kitchen, I got down to 2. These are the 2 mugs that I use all the time. I'll use one 2 or 3 days. I just rinse it out. Then I put it in the dishwasher. Then I'll use the other one while it's being washed. I got this mug specifically because it's black and it went with everything that I was doing at the time on my photography channel. But I don't really like this mug. It's too big. It's too heavy. What I really like is this mug. But I don't really like this mug because it's not black. So eventually I'm going to go to some place like World Market or somewhere, and I'm going to find a mug that's kind of this size, this shape, that's in a different color, and I'm going to get that. The water is done. I just need to throw this out. And I don't know why we do this, I'm going to be honest, but I always swirl the coffee around a little bit. I don't know. There's just something fun about it. And then always keep your pinky extended and pour. Now I'm going to rinse this out a little bit, but that doesn't help the stain. I'm glad you stuck around. Let me give you a quick update. I'm recording this video on Sunday, February 4th. So yesterday I made the decision to change my eating habits to try to lose 5 pounds by March 8th. Obviously, we're just really officially, technically getting started with that. It is 5:45 in the morning, and I would typically be eating breakfast about 6:30, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to eat breakfast about 9. And in fact, I may just snack. I'm taking my mom out for lunch today, so I may just snack a little bit and then enjoy whatever I want to do at lunch. and then eat again about 4 o'clock tonight. So at the moment, I'm still at 219 pounds. Scale's not moved, but I didn't expect it to move in 24 hours. But I did promise you the accountability to talk to you about it every video between now and March 8th. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.